This is Engage New York, Module 2, Lesson 5. This is the concept development, but I just wanted to review our objective. I can connect visual models and this distributive property to partial products of the standard algorithm without renaming. So, concept development. We are going to represent units using a tape diagram and then an area model. So we're going to use two different strategies to solve this problem. So 21 times 5. Now, if we do this mentally through so if we go mentally, which is our unit form strategy, okay, we could go 20 times 5 plus 1 times 5, right? Which would give us 105. Because this would be 100 plus 5, which would give us 105. Now, let's think about now we're using a model now. So a tape diagram. Okay, a tape diagram. So let me show you what a tape diagram would look like. Here is a tape diagram. Now we are going to be using this strategy quite a bit from lesson 5 on. So you definitely want to get good at this. So here I'm going to name my unit. I'm going to call my one unit, I'm going to call my unit 5. So this is like naming your unit. So if I say we have 21 fives. So if I have 1 5 and it goes all the way up, so this is 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, all the way up to 21 fives. So from 1 to 25, 1 to 21 fives. So this goes all the way up, and this is filled with fives. So imagine all those boxes are stacked right across that is another way of representing the units in a tape diagram. Now, lastly, we're going to represent these. We're going to represent this it's called an area model. So let me show you what that might look like. All right, so here, if I have 5, so if I have 5 across, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here is 5 across here, yes? Now, what if I have down here 20 fives? So I have 5 fives, and I have 20 fives and 5 fives. So imagine all of these fives stacked up together. Okay? So that is another way. So we're going to turn this into something meaningful. We're going to turn this box into something meaningful. So let me show you how we're going to do that. We're going to take this kind of messy model and we're going to turn it into something neat and tidy, something easy to work with. So we're going to use the standard, we're not using standard algorithm, we're using the area model to solve a multiplication problem of 21 times 5. So let me show you how we're going to do that. So we're going to go 5 times 1 plus 20. So we have 21. So I broke up my 21 into 1 plus 20, and my 5 just stays 5. So let's go ahead and solve. So 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 20 is 100. And if I add those two together, I'm going to end up with 105. Remember, we're multiplying the sides. So thinking back to third grade and thinking about your area models. So I have 5, I have 1 5, and I have 25s, which gives me 105. All right, let's go to problem 2. Problem 2, we're going to use an area model and the standard algorithm to solve this problem. So products of 2-digit and 2-digit numbers use an area model and the standard algorithm. So let's go ahead and solve for 23 times 31. So which unit is easier, 23 or 31 to multiply? So let's think about it for a minute. So units of 23 is probably easier because we can find 30 of them and then just add one more. All right, so now let's draw an area model. Let's try this out again using that same strategy that we used earlier. So here's 23. And we're going to multiply using an array. 1 plus 30. So when you were learning multiplication in third grade, you were using something called an array. You would line up your numbers and you had either 4 groups of 3 or 3 groups of 4. That was an array. So we're stacking this like an array. So let's go ahead and multiply. 23 times 1 is 23. And let's write it out like this. Let's write 1 times 23 equals 23. And let's do 30 times 23 is going to give us 690. Now, if we add them up, I always like to put the larger number on top. I like to put my larger number on top when I'm adding. So I have 3, 9, 10, 11, 713. All right, now let's compare the standard algorithm. The standard algorithm, all right? Let's go 23. Well, I like to put my larger number on top. So let's go 31 times 23. So 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 0. Here we have 2. 2 times 3 is 6. 3, 9, 10, 11. Add one more is 713. All right. So we just used our standard algorithm and we used an area model and we're just comparing both methods. All right, moving on to problem 3. We're going to solve products of 2-digit and 3-digit numbers. All right, using the same strategy we were just using, we're going to use the area model and we are going to use standard algorithm. So let's go ahead and get started. So first thing we need to think about, what should we designate as the unit What should we designate as the unit? Now, personally, 343 is easier because we can find 20 times that and then add one more. All right, so we're going to designate. Doesn't that make sense? We can 343, we're going to designate as the unit, and then we can find 20 times 1. Then add one more. So let's go ahead and draw out this area model. So if we have 343, we're designating that our unit, and then we're going to multiply it by 1 plus 20. Okay, so now let's go 343 times 1 equals 343. And then let's go 343 times 20 equals 6,860. All right, so now if we add them up, 6,860 plus 343, we're going to end up with 7,203. Now let's compare that strategy by going over here and going 343 times 21. Now I like to, when I'm multiplying multi-digit, I like to circle my numbers with different colors. That way when I'm doing my multiplication, I can keep the numbers that I'm putting up on top, I can keep them straight. I know which numbers to use. So 3 times 1 is 3. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 3 is 3. Interesting, I got the same thing. Look at that partial product. They match. Now, I'm going to 2 times 3 is 6. 8. 6. Oh, interesting. Look, here is the partial product for this one. So they match up. And then if I solve, 3. Look at that. Comparing both strategies work perfectly. All right. Problem 4. So what number should we designate as the unit? Well, you have a choice here, but I think we should let's use 231 as the designated unit. Okay, so let's use it. Let's draw our area model. So we're going to go 231 times 2 plus 30. Now, 2 times 231 is equal to, let's write it down here, 462. And then 30 times 231 is equal to 6,930. Now, if we add them up, 6,930 plus 462, let's see what we end up with. All right, now let's check that. Let's compare that to using standard algorithm. So 231 times 32. Again, I like to designate my color. So 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 2 is 4. I'm using red. 462. Oh, look at that. Partial products. Now, 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 2 is 6. Huh, look at that. Partial products. Let's add them up. 2, 9, 13, 7,392. Yep, they match. So when I compare the two strategies for multiplying, I end up with the same answer.